Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart, and today I'll be going over my core building blocks for this 9-game NBA slate we have here on DraftKings for Monday night. So if you're new to the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, turn that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the breakdown. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at HartDFS to ask any questions. Stay updated with my picks, price picks, all that good stuff is there on my Twitter, as well as my free Patreon. You can find that in the link in the YouTube description, as well as my link tree and on my Twitter profile. I always have it pinned, and I go over my core plays, dive more in depth into writings about the slate, kind of how I'm thinking about attacking it, value plays, all that good stuff is in the free Patreon write-up. For today, just going to do a quick video since the games start here in a few hours of just the injury news and kind of how the lineups are going to be taking shape for tonight. So with this first game, we have the news that Olynyk is out, Sexton is still out. For the Cleveland side, everything is still kind of the same, so we'll get there in a second. But for Utah, obviously we have the three main scorers, Laurie, Clarkson, and Beasley. They're all in there. At their price points, they look okay. I mean, Vanderbilt should see maybe a minutes bump increase here with Olynyk out. Don't mind going to him, 5,300, not really get him at a huge discount unless he's starting and going to play 30 minutes. Assume, it'd be safe to see Walker Kessler get at least 20 minutes off now, if not more. So I think he'd be my favorite play there on the Utah side at center, 4,800. We'll probably see maybe some, whatever this dude's last name is. He'll play a little bit. Same with Horton Tucker. Rudy Gay, should see maybe 20 minutes. I'd say he'd be the best value or one of the best value plays for the day there at 3,100. But yeah, you still have the three main scorers, so it's not like there's going to be a ton of shooting to go around. But yeah, that's kind of the Utah side. Cleveland, everything is just kind of there. Kevin Love is going to be decent value there at 3,700. Minutes haven't been the best recently, but we know he has huge upside. So 3,700, always worth a dart throw. Everyone else is just kind of there if you want to go there. But with all the other news, don't think it's necessary. For Toronto, Trent is questionable. OG is questionable. If one of them or both of them back, it really takes out all the value. And then it'd really just be kind of just, Siakam for me at the Toronto side. Philly, no news here, so it's just kind of, if you have any interest, it really should be with just the two main guys. I mean, Harris is always worth, I guess, a dart throw, but really no need to get to Philly unless you're going to the two main guys. At top for Orlando, Wendell is out still, Suggs is out, still have Harris out as well, so we're just getting the main guys of Paolo, Wagner, other Wagner, Bol, Fultz, Anthony. And so really I think my only interest is still going to be in Markelle Fultz or Cole Anthony. They're both kind of floating around 30 minutes, so I'd prefer getting to Fultz. He kind of has the safer floor, a little bit of a higher upside. He's pretty solid at getting steals, as you can see the past 3 games. But yeah, I think they're a little bit too cheap. Other guys do have a ceiling, but no real need to get to them yet. There's still better options. For Atlanta, DeJounte Murray might be back. John Collins is back. Doesn't really do a whole lot. You can definitely go to John Collins at 5,800, but everyone else is kind of priced about right. Okongwu has just been super disappointing filling in the starting role for what's his name, Capella. So yeah, I mean, there's not really much interest in Atlanta anymore besides paying up for Trey. I mean, Bogdan is okay there at 6,500. Does have a decent ceiling still. Price is okay, but yeah, no real strong standouts with Collins back, DeJounte might be back. It's really just Trey. Portland, bunch of news here. Grant is questionable, Nurkic is questionable, Hart questionable once again. Obviously, if Nurkic is out, we can look to Eubanks. He'd be a solid play there at 3,300. A little bit of minutes bump for Trenton Watford at 3,400, as well as, Grant's out. You could definitely look to Winslow getting more run and Watford run as well. So that's kind of the big news there, and those are the pivot plays. For OKC, we got news that SGA actually might be back. Giddey's out. So if SGA is back, I think he makes for a very solid spend up there. Lou Dort, I do think he'd be solid. He was great with SGA and Dort out that last game. I do think he still has some upside there at 5,500. If, SGA is back, they'll probably be the two main scorers. You can get to the rest of the guys. Henrich Williams looks to be the best, option there, 4,100 with his upside. Poku's not seen enough minutes, so that's kind of it for this OKC side. Muscala, did he? No, yeah. If SGA is out, Obviously, Luke Dort looks great. Isaiah Joe looks great. Kendrick would look good as well. He's more of a point forward. So that's just kind of the big news there for OKC. Moving on to Milwaukee, we have the news that everyone is back besides Middleton. He's still out. So Holiday looks solid there. I mean, Giannis, if you can get up to him, he looks decent. Brook Lopez does feel a little bit too cheap. Once again, 5,600 does have some decent upside, even with Holiday and Giannis both playing. He should have some upside there. Portis at 7,000 with those guys back. Not a lot of real interest. Connaughton's always going to be value there at 3,600. Minutes are kind of fluctuating, so not the best. Moving on to New Orleans, nothing's really changed. Obviously, Larry Nance is questionable. If he's out, you can definitely see some more minutes for maybe like a Hernan Gomez or a Jackson Hayes. Don't think there's enough to really get to them. Really just would prefer, taking a shot on J-Val once again. He's going to get the minutes. The production hasn't been there. Very, very foul prone, and he's really fouled a lot recently. Especially in this matchup. You got two bigs, Brook Lopez, Giannis might get switched on to J-Val, so there is that foul trouble risk. But yeah, he's always worth a dart thrown in tournaments. CJ looks solid, and Zion's been great so far. Moving on to Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas, Luka's back. So there's no real priorities here for this Dallas side with Luka back. Tim Hardaway Jr. is questionable, 5,300. But yeah, I mean, there's no interest in anyone here with Luka back now unless you want to pay up for Luka. Minnesota side, starting to get to the value here. Anthony Edwards looks solid. Russell's probable. Gobert is questionable. If he's out, obviously, Naz Reid, 4,700. He should be good to go. He looks great once again. Do like D'Lo a decent amount there at 7,600. Has been very, very solid and consistent since Cat has been out. So he'd probably be my favorite play. I mean, Noel is always worth a mention. Minutes haven't been great, especially with D'Lo back. He only saw 22, but he's going to be that main scorer off the bench. And now we're getting into the value, which is going to be this San Antonio side. Keldon Johnson didn't go through shoot around, so if he's out, obviously you're going to want to load up on Devin Vassell. Poeltl looks great if he's on. No minutes limit. Only saw 21 in that last game back. So if there's a minutes limit, don't think there's a need to go to him. If not, him and Vassell look great. Trey Jones looks okay, and then you can get down to, I guess, one of these value plays, like Doug McDermott off the bench should see about 20-ish minutes, but really just be the top two guys here, Vassell and Poeltl. Moving on to Houston, KPJ, Green, Sengun, all look solid. Great game to stack. Should be fast-paced, should be a bunch of scoring. Maybe I prefer Smith over Sengun. Sengun's just been disappointing recently. But yeah, I mean, this game looks great to stack. That's where all the value is going to be. For Los Angeles, LeBron, Russell look great. Bryant, a little bit disappointing. I mean, the minutes were there. 33, you can't really complain about it. So I guess that's not disappointing. He was great. So once again, Bryant looks very, very solid here against Phoenix. Really think, LeBron and Russ, you can play them both together. They look great. So let's just do this for now. We'll just throw Poeltl in, but keep an eye out on the minutes limit. And then for LA and Phoenix, the big news is Devin Booker is out. So there's going to be a ton of shots and minutes to go around. Obviously, Chris Paul looks very solid there, 8,100 to step up in the spot. What was that last game that Devin Booker missed? 17-15-9. 17-15. So the Houston game, we saw Chris Paul without Devin Booker put up almost 40 fantasy points. So should be very, very solid there in the AK range with Booker out. Aiden is questionable. If he's in, do like him a good amount here, going against Thomas Bryant defense. But Mikal Bridges looks great. We saw that last game. He shot 4 of 24 without Devin Booker. Terrible, but he should shoot the ball at least 20 times here in the spot. 6,600 is a little bit too cheap here, so do think he makes for a good play there. In terms of value, we can get down to, I know Jock Landale is out, so Bismack Biyombo looks very solid. He should see, close to 30 minutes. He makes for a great value play there. Obviously, you can't play three centers, so you do have to make the decision between Poeltl, Bryant, and Biyombo because Jock Landale is out. So kind of solidifies the minutes for Biyombo. I expect Saric to kind of fill in about 20, maybe 25 minutes at most. You could definitely look to him at 3,000 to fill up the backup minutes at center. But if Ayton's back, obviously it's going to be Ayton. Biyombo will get the backup minutes. Don't think Saric will see much. But yeah, it's really the main guys are going to be Paul, Bridges as the main scorers. And if Ayton's back, those three are going to lead the team. guys like Craig, Okogie, Biombo, Shamit, Lee, his minutes have been trending down for some reason, even though they have less people on the team who are able to play. But yeah, that's kind of the Phoenix news. And then moving on to Charlotte and Sacramento. LaMelo Ball looks way too cheap here. Once again, 8,400. Terry Rozier is questionable. If he's out, Oubre, should figure to be the second scorer, guy behind LaMelo. So he looks, pretty decent there. Price is not the best. And the rest of the team, they're there. I mean, Gordon Hayward saw 35 minutes. So I guess you could look at him at 6,000. Does feel a little bit too cheap there. That really is it. No real standouts. I mean, Washington feels a little bit too cheap, but with everyone back, really just prefer getting to LaMelo or Hayward or Oubre. And then Sacramento, Sabonis looks great here. We just saw what Jokic was able to do against the Charlotte team. Fox does seem a little bit too cheap here. And then these other guys are secondary. Malik Monk off the bench should see mid-20s, maybe into 30s minutes. He's always worth a dart throw. But yeah, I don't think there's a need to get to him. This is kind of the main core and building blocks for today. It's going to be Vassell if Keldon Johnson's out. Keldon's back. Don't mind still getting to Vassell and Keldon Johnson because it's a great matchup against Houston. Bridges is going to shoot the ball a ton there. Podol, if he's off the minutes limit, looks great. And then Bryant, 4,200, still think he's one of the best value plays on the slate, and they should see at least 30 minutes. Yeah, that's kind of the core building blocks is these four guys. Obviously, we have to wait on the news for Vassell and Podol because it does change things a little bit, so make sure to follow me on Twitter for that update. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Quick one, just kind of, going through the guys that are out, the pivot plays and all that stuff. So hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.